The federal government has today announced that it will leave the Port of Darwin in the hands of a Chinese company with reported links to the CCP. The Prime Minister last year launched a review into the 99-year lease that was given to Landbridge in 2015. The Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet put out a statement today saying there was a robust regulatory system in place to manage risks to critical infrastructure and that it was not necessary to vary or cancel the lease. Monitoring of security arrangements around the Port of Darwin will continue, it said. Australians can have confidence that their safety will not be compromised while ensuring that Australia remains a competitive destination for foreign investment. Now, let's not forget, the Port of Darwin is a major strategic asset and the only significant port in the northern half of Australia, and it's currently in the hands of China, a country that we know has taken up the fight against us with huge tariffs and trade bans in recent years, and that keeps doing security and lending deals with our Pacific neighbours. The fact we even allowed it to fall into Chinese hands in the first place is bad enough, but the Albanese government is now using this report as an excuse to cosy up to China, just a month, of course, before the PM is set to visit. Now, this report was handed to the government in June. 4 months later, on a Friday afternoon, a month before Albanese goes to China, a week after Cheng Lei returned to Australia, the same week China flags that it's getting ready to lift wine tariffs, the government decides to release the findings and leave China in charge of the Port of Darwin. Forgive me for being a little cynical here. It is the oldest trick in the book. What took them so long to release the findings and confirm they were leaving it in Chinese hands? I mean, what was wrong with any time in the last 4 months? Or was it opportune to do it now and curry favour? Mr Albanese has certainly changed his tune from 2020 when he said the Port of Darwin, quote, should never have been sold and it should never have been not in Australian hands. What's the difference now, Prime Minister? He also said the leasing of the port to a Chinese company was something I opposed as Shadow Infrastructure Minister at the time, and that it was hard to think of an Australian infrastructure asset that's more vital to our national interest than the Port of Darwin. But 3 years later, on the eve of a trip to China, and on the strength of a report he's had for 4 months, he says it's A-OK. China is growing its strength and power in our region, there's no doubt about that, and we can hardly tell our neighbours not to get into bed with China when we let them own one of our most important strategic assets. The federal government could rip up the lease tomorrow, but they won't, and we all know why.